Alright guys, welcome to another wonderful video from your friend Ojasweb Digital Solution. In this video I want to show you one of the most important things you need to do if you run advertisement on the internet or if you send traffic to your landing page. Right now on this landing page, there's one important thing I need to do if I want to be able to track how people engage with this particular landing page. For example, if I move to the bottom on this landing page, you'll see I have a button here, and this button is telling the users to click to chat with me on WhatsApp. If I want to know the numbers of people who come to this particular page and click on this link to chat with me on WhatsApp, I need to set up a configuration that will track every click on this particular link, and that is what we're going to do in this video. We're going to be working with Google Tag Manager, and we're going to be working on the website. We'll be working with Google Analytics, and we'll be working with Google AdWords. So these are the four platforms we want to integrate together to be able to track the event on our website. So the first thing I will do in order to configure this is I will go straight to my Google Tag Manager account. If you don't have Google Tag Manager account, I encourage you to create one and start using it to tag your website so that you can track every action that happens on that particular website. So on my Tag Manager account, I will go straight to the property, then I will click on these three dots and select create container. By the way, I'm using Instabuilder for the landing page. If you have like 10 different pages on your Instabuilder, you need to install Google Analytics on each of the pages so that you'll be able to track activity on all of those pages. If you install Google Analytics on your website and you don't install it on your Instabuilder pages, you will not be able to see what is happening on those pages, and that is why you need to track each of the pages on the website. I'm gonna go ahead and create a container for this particular landing page, and after creating the container, I will implement the tag on that page and I will continue with the process. So let's start. I will give this container a name. Let me just use mouth odor. I've given it a name, and the next thing is I want to choose the target platform. You can use Google Tag Manager to track different platforms. You can use it on your iOS app, Android apps, AMP, or even website. For this demonstration, we are going to be tracking our website. So I will click on website, and after clicking on that, I will click on create. This is the only tag I need to install on my landing page in order for me to be able to track everything that happens on the landing page. This first tag should be installed on the head of the page. So I will go straight to my Instabuilder page, which is already open here, and I will click on settings, script and code. From the script and code, you can see here we have a script already installed on the head section. This is a Google Analytics script, but I'm going to remove this script and install the Google Tag Manager script so that I will be able to use that to track event on this particular landing page. The next one, I want to copy it and install it on the body section on my landing page. So I will go to the body on my Instabuilder script and I will install this here. I have copied and pasted the two codes in the appropriate section on the Instabuilder landing page. So I will go ahead and click on save. After saving this page, I want to see if this code is properly installed or not. There's one extension I have on my Google Chrome browser that I can use to detect whether the code is properly installed or not. So I will go ahead and load this page, but before that I will click on the extension which is Google Tag Assistant. I will enable these extensions, then I will click on F5 on my Windows device and I will refresh the page. So I can see here I have one tag firing on this page, and that is Google Tag Manager. This shows that the code has been installed, and the next thing I want to do now is I want to go back to the Google Tag Manager and click on OK. Now the next thing I want to do is to create a tag that will fire on that particular landing page, and the first tag I want to fire on that landing page is my Google Analytics tag. When I fire Google Analytics tag on that particular landing page, I'll be able to see whatever that happens on that landing page on my Google Analytics dashboard, and that will help me to analyze the traffic and better use the data to optimize my website or even my campaign. So I will click on tag, and the next thing is I will click on new. Now that I click on new, I want to give this a name, Google Analytics tag, Analytics tag. Then I will click on tag configuration, and the tag configuration here I want to select Google Analytics. There are so many tags on this particular section. You can go ahead and look at this, but for the sake of this video, I want to choose Google Analytics. And after choosing Google Analytics, the next thing is I want to track page views. There are so many things you can track here. Don't worry about the event. We are coming back to that later, but what we want to track now is page view. And the next thing is I want to choose the variable. And what variable do we want to use here? I want to click on add new, and the new variable is gonna be the Google Analytics tracking ID. I will go straight to my Google Analytics property and copy the ID for this particular account. So I click on my settings from Google Analytics dashboard. Then from the settings page, I will click on property settings, and from there I will be able to copy the tracking ID. This is the tracking ID for this particular property. I'll copy it and I will go back to the tag manager and paste it here. And before I continue, I want to give this a name, Analytics ID. You can give it different name that suits you. Just make sure you name it so that you'll be able to remember when you're working on it subsequently. So I've given it the name, and I will go ahead and click on save. So what is the next thing to do now after inserting our Google Analytics tracking ID? The next thing is to set up the triggering for this particular tag, and the triggering for this is going to be on all pages. By the way, don't worry about that. This is going to fire only on the landing page we install the Google Tag Manager container. So I will leave all pages installed, and I will go ahead and continue with this. Now I have saved it. We have been able to install Google Tag Manager container on our landing page, and we have been able to install Google Analytics tracking on that same landing page with the help of Google Tag Manager. So before we submit this particular tag, we want to preview this particular settings and see whether everything is fine on the website or not. I will go ahead and click on preview, and when I click on preview, this browser will be prepared in the developer mode, and I will be able to see what is happening on the page and the code that is firing at that time. So I will go back to the landing page and I will refresh it. Now the page is loading, and as you can see here, we have Google Analytics installed on the page. You can see this is Google Tag Manager at the left hand side, and you can see the tag that is fired on this page is Google Analytics tag. This shows that the tag I have just installed is properly installed, and I can now go ahead and publish that particular tag on my Google Tag Manager. That is the first thing for this particular configuration. The tag is now live on the website, and now we will be able to track everything on that particular landing page on Google Analytics. That is the first configuration we need to do in this training. And the next one is we want to set up event tracking for this particular landing page. We have been able to track everything in Google Analytics, but we are not able to track button click just yet. What we want to do now is we want to be able to track the button click on this page, and that is why we will have to configure the event tracking in our Google Tag Manager. So the next thing now is let's start with the event tracking in Google Tag Manager. So I have created the container, and the next thing is I want to open the container. This is what we want to be working with for this particular training. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to create a variable for this particular configuration. I will go ahead and select variables. Then after selecting variables, there's one thing I want to do here, and I'm gonna do this only once. So I will click on configuration. There are some inbuilt variables on this particular page. I want to click on configuration, and I want to enable additional variables for this particular setting. So I will move to the bottom, and under clicks, I want to select click element, click class, click ID, click target, click URL, click text. All of these will be added to the built-in variables. After enabling the variables, I want to go back to the triggers. I want to go ahead and create a trigger for the container so that we'll be able to track the event on that particular landing page. So I'll go ahead and click on new. Then I will give it a name, button click trigger. Then I will click on this. Then I want to go to the click element and select all element. After selecting all element, for now I want to leave it on all clicks. Then I will click on save. Then after clicking on save, I will go ahead and make this in the preview mode. So I click on preview mode and I will head over to the landing page and refresh the landing page and see what is happening on the page. So right now on the landing page, I want to refresh it. Before I refresh it, let me click around. You see there's nothing happening here. If you look at it, you see I'm clicking randomly but nothing is happening here because I have not refreshed the landing page. I want to go ahead and refresh the landing page now and see what will happen after clicking on some of the elements on the website. The page is refreshed and you can see Google Analytics is firing on the page. So I want to click around, and as you can see, every click on the page is loading on the summary. You can see we are on the 8th. If I click again, you see that is 9th click, that is 10th click. This shows that the click element is now working perfectly well. Each of the click on this particular page has some variables. I will move from the tag to the variables, and I want to see when I select any of the click, I want to see the variables available for the click. If you look at it clearly, we have different variables available for the click. When you come back to this page, you remember I enable click variables on this particular page. That is what you are seeing on this particular variable tab. We have the click classes, we have click element, click ID, and so on. For the button I wanted to track on this particular page, which is this one, I want to go ahead and click on this button to see what is going to happen when I click on it. I want to see the available variables, and I want to pick one of the variables and use it to set up my event tracking. I don't want to click on this to open on this page because it's going to reload this page. So I will hold on my control button and I will click on it. It will open a new tab. You can see the click is already recorded here. So I open it and I want to see what is happening there. So the click class is IB2 button. The click element, you can see the click element. If I hover my mouse on it, you can see the URL is showing here. That is the click element. If I look at the click test, you can see click here to order on WhatsApp. So there are so many information here. I can use any of these to set up my event tracking. So what I want to use now is I want to use the click element. The click element is exactly this URL. So I want to copy the URL, then I will go back to my Google Tag Manager. Now that I'm on my Google Tag Manager, I want to edit this button click trigger. I click on the trigger and I want to go ahead and edit it. Here it says track all clicks, but I don't want to track all clicks. I want to track a specific button click on the page. So I select this, then I want to look at the element, click element. You can see here click element. So I want to use the click element for this particular page. Is equal to equals this URL. So I have pasted that and I will save it. Now that I have edited the button click trigger, the next thing I want to do is I want to link the trigger to my Google Analytics tags. So I'll go ahead and click on tags, and from there I want to add a new tag on this particular page. I will give this a name, button click event. Now I want to select Google Analytics here, and the next thing I want to do is I want to select event tracking. You remember the first one we did page view tracking, but here we want to track event. I can go ahead and give this name, but I don't want to give it any name. I will go straight to the bottom. I will select my variable. You remember I have already installed Google Analytics on this particular tag manager, so I will select that as the variable and I will proceed and select my trigger, and the trigger is the button click trigger I recently configured. So I select that and I will click on save. I will refresh the debug mode and I will go back to the page and see what is happening on the landing page. Now that the page is refreshed, I will go ahead and click around and see what happened. You can see as I was clicking around, the click is being recorded, but one thing you see here is when you check there, you look at it, there's one tag that is not fired on this particular page, and that is the button click event. The button click event is not fired despite the fact that the click is being recorded, because I have not clicked on the click here to order on WhatsApp. So if I hold down the control button and click now, you'll see the event tracking as fired, and that is telling you that this tracking is properly configured, and now we can track the event on our landing page. I am able to configure Google Analytics for this particular landing page, and now I'm able to track the button click on this landing page. The next one we want to do now is we want to use this button click event to track our conversions on Google AdWords. So I will go back now to Google AdWords and start the configuration, and at the end of everything we'll be able to track event on our landing page, and the event will be recorded in our Google AdWords account, and we will use that as a conversion to optimize our ads. Right now in my Google Ads account, I want to go straight to the conversion tracking and set up a conversion for this particular event tracking on the landing page. I want to click on add a new conversion tracking here. Then after clicking on that, I want to select website. Obviously we are tracking the event on our website, so the next thing I want to do is I want to select the conversion type we are tracking. For this we are tracking outbound click, so I click on outbound click. Then I want to give it a name. I don't want to use the outbound click as the name. I want to use a multi-order event, so I'll be able to identify the event I'm tracking on this particular page. So for this, I assume that every sales I get from that landing page, the price remains the same. So I want to use the same value for this particular event, and I want to use $1 for every lead I get from that particular landing page. So I will leave it as 1. Then the next thing I want to do is I want to count only one event for every individual. For example, if user A arrives on the landing page and they click on the button, instead of him chatting with me on WhatsApp, he refuses to chat with me, and maybe later he clicks on it again. I don't want to keep repeating it as different conversion. I want to see it as just one conversion. So that is what this is talking about. So I will choose only one. However, if you are tracking e-commerce sales on a website where a single person can buy in multiple times, then you can count it every time. But for me, I want to count this as a one conversion when you click on the button. So the next thing I want to do is I will leave everything here and I'll click on create and continue. Now on this page, the next thing I want to do is I want to choose how to install the conversion tag on my website. Obviously we are using Google Tag Manager, so I will go ahead and select Google Tag Manager, and here these are the information we needed in order to be able to track this on our Google Tag Manager. We need the ID and we need the label. So I have these two. I will head back to my Google Tag Manager and I will complete the configuration in my Tag Manager container. Right now in the Google Tag Manager, I want to go ahead and click on tags, and I want to add new tag for this particular configuration. I will click on new, then I will give it a name. This is AdWords conversion tracking, event tracking. Then I will select the tag configuration. The tag configuration for this is AdWords conversion tracking. So I select that, and the next thing I want to do now is I want to enter the conversion ID and the conversion label. That is exactly what we have here, the conversion ID. I'll copy it, I will go back here, I'll click on conversion ID, and the next one is the conversion label. I will copy this and I will go back and paste it here, conversion label. After doing that, I will go to the bottom and we select a trigger for this particular conversion. So the trigger for this particular configuration is the button click trigger we recently configured. So I will go ahead and select that and I will click on save. Now that I have configured the Google AdWords event tracking in Google Tag Manager, the next thing I want to do is I want to refresh the preview mode, and I will head over to the landing page and refresh the landing page to see whether the event tracking is working properly or not. So I have refreshed the page. Then we have 3 tags on this particular page. We have the Google Analytics tag, we have the button click event, and we have the AdWords event tracking. So Google Analytics tag fire each time the page is viewed, but because of the configurations of our event tracking, the event and the AdWords tracking is not fired yet. So I'll go ahead and click randomly. As I'm clicking, it's being recorded. But one thing you notice is the tag that are not fired is the one I configured to fire only when the button is clicked. Now I am on the button. I'll go ahead and hold my control button and I'll click on this and see what happened. These 2 events has fired after clicking the button, and this confirms that the configuration is working perfectly well. That is the end of this configuration. This is how you can go ahead and track all the clicks on button from your landing page. You can use this to optimize your Google Ads account, and you can use it to see how people are engaging with your landing page. This tutorial is done for Instabuilder. However, I believe this is the same approach you can use if you are using different page builders such as Elementor page builder, DV builder, and so on. I believe you enjoyed this video. If you have some questions, feel free to drop it in the comment section and I will address every single question. Thanks again for watching the video, and bye for now.